Hello, Asta here and welcome to the ultimate how to use the eyeliner guide for beginners. I always get questions on my Instagram from my clients and from my followers about eyeliners, about how to do eyeliner, how to do the wing. So I decided to do a in-depth video and explanation how to use different type of eyeliners, how to use different type of brushes, and how you actually can use different techniques to achieve the eyeliner that you want, that suits your eye shape and all. So first, let's start with different type of eyeliners that you can use to achieve an eyeliner. I think the first and simplest product that you can use to achieve a liner is an eyeshadow. And by saying eyeshadow, it means you can use any color eyeshadow you like. I'm sure most of us have some sort of dark brown or black eyeshadows in our makeup bags, so that shouldn't be a problem. So the next product, which is very obvious, is the eye pencil. So eyeliner pencils as well come in so many different colors and different shapes, but I do prefer the original ones because it's easy to work with them and it's easy to apply them. Just make sure your eye pencil isn't too hard and applies easily. Another form of eyeliner are these eyeliner pens. So these pens are actually really easy to use, but the only thing is, if you're just a beginner and you're not sure, or if you have more of a difficult eye shape, it might be a little bit tricky because once you do a mistake, it's kind of hard to fix it. Another product you can use for lining your eyes is the gel liners. Now, gel liners are amazing. I personally think these are the easiest ones to use. They actually are great because you still can fix minor mistakes if you make some, and they look great and they don't transfer. They're long lasting. Of course, it depends on which brand you have. The last type of eyeliner, which in my opinion is the hardest to apply, not because it comes in this form, but because if you make a mistake using this liquid liner, it's just so hard to clean it up. It might just go very wrong very fast. I love these liquid liners. They're amazing. They're really intense, but I think if you want to use them, you have to be kind of used to using other liner techniques and you know what you're doing. Otherwise, as I said, it can go very wrong. So here are the swatches of all the eyeliners I'm gonna talk about today: eyeshadow liner, pencil liner, pen liner, and gel liner, and also liquid liner. I'm sure there's more. There's always some innovations going on that I'm not aware of, but for now I'm going to talk about these 5 different eyeliners. Now a little bit about the tools you can use to apply the liner. So obviously, if your eyeliner comes in this shape that it already has a felt tip, or if it comes in a liquid liner that has a little applicator on, you don't need to worry about any additional tools to use. You can just use them straight away from the packaging. Personally, I think that for me and maybe for beginner, the easiest tool to apply your liner is the angled brush, or slanted brush in other words. So here are different slanted brushes or angled brushes that I have, and I just want to quickly run through each of them and say which is actually most appropriate and which is the easiest to use. So when choosing an angled brush for eyeliner application, I would highly advise that this pencil would be very thin. So what I mean about thin, I can show you like 4 different angled brushes and how they look, but as you can see, they all are different thickness, different size, so not always one angled brush will do the job. Say this brush here is very thick here, as you can see, compared to that means that your line is going to come out very thick, so that's not good. You want to choose a brush that is quite thin, so something along the lines of these 3. I personally prefer something like that because it is thin, it's not wide, but at the same time it's actually small. So if you are someone who has a smaller eyelid, if you would try to use this big slanted brush, it might be very difficult because you would have difficulties to go into the inner corner or outer corner because it's so big. So make sure when you're choosing a brush that it's quite slim and it's kind of nice on the smaller side. This one is actually designed for brows, but if you have a bigger eyelid space, you can absolutely use that because it's still thin and you can just create a lovely line and the wing as well with that. But today I will use this one here. I don't know what brand that is. It's actually actually no brand. I don't even know where I got it, but it's my favorite, my personal favorite. I use it every day when I do my wing liner or just liner in general. But if you're looking for a great angled brush, Zoeva has really good one, good size and good thickness. Also MAC has a good one, so you can definitely find one, or even one without a name. This brush, I don't know, I found it in a pound shop or something, and it's been the best buy ever. I also love this little guy. So these are little skinny brushes. They are a little bit more advanced, but if you have some experience, you can definitely try it. I love these because they have such a great shape, so it's very easy to apply because of that shape of the angle. So literally it does the job for you. But again, if you are new to this, just try an angled brush first. But these are little amazing brushes as well. So it's very important to remember that every one of us have a different eye shape. So it doesn't mean that the eyeliner will look completely the same on every eye shape. You just have to work with what you have. Some of us have more hooded eyes, some of us have open lids, some has deep set eyes. So just please adapt these little techniques to suit your eye shape, because there's no one formula that works for all. We just have to play with it and find the way that really works for us. And you shouldn't feel down if you see these beautiful, sharp, on-point eyeliners, as they say, because these models have an amazing space on their eyelids, open eyelids, so they can really create that sharp, precise liner. Most of us do have hooded eyes, unfortunately, where a fold of our skin kind of goes down on the outer corner here on our eyes, and it makes so much harder for us to do the wing if we're doing a wing. Just don't be discouraged because your liner doesn't look like the one you've seen in a picture on some model. Okay, so first liner technique is by using an angled brush and an eyeshadow. So today I will use a brown eyeshadow. You can use any brown eyeshadow you like. Also make sure to prep your lid, to have something on your lid, at least a concealer, because if you would try to do a eyeshadow liner on a bare skin, one thing, it might not last. Secondly, it might transfer, and thirdly, and the color might not come out as you want. So make sure to apply a little bit of concealer on your lid. That's what I have, and I just used a little bit of setting powder so it wouldn't crease. So that's it. Okay, let's go. So first of all, how to take the color. Because we're going to work with this part of the brush, we want to take a product on that part of the brush, okay? So we're taking some color on the brush, not on the sides, but directly on that skinny part here. I always love to shake the excess off because sometimes there might be a fallout. I love to start my liner from the center lid and work outwards, and then go back and do the inner part. First of all, I face my little tip towards the inner part of my eyes, and then I literally just lay down the brush onto my lash line and do a little stamp. The lash line is a little guide for your brush as well to sit on. And then what else I'd like to do is to have my little pinky here on the side of my cheek for balance. And if you have somewhere to place your elbow on for stabilization, that's even better. So have my elbow on the table, I have my pinky on the side of my cheek, so that means I will have a very stable movement of my brush, okay? So that's what I'm doing. I'm laying down the brush like so and stamping. I'm not trying to create a one line in one go. I'm just gonna do a little stamping motion to stamp eyeliner on. You see, I'm just gonna laying it on the side. That part is touching the very base of my eyelashes, and it creates a line. And then when I'm reaching nearly the end, I'm switching the angle side, this little tip side, to the other side and continuing to stamp. So now I'm going back to the center and just bringing the liner to the inner part. So as you can see, I'm just gonna placing it and stamping, placing and stamping. I'm not trying to draw the line in one go. Another thing, look down into your mirror, because when you look down into your mirror, it's much easier to see where that liner has to go. Try not to squint or close your eyes, because that way your lid might get wrinkly and your line won't turn out as good. So if you can, just look down into the mirror, have your mirror lower down at your face so you can literally look down and you have the open lid, especially if you have hooded eyes. So if I were to try and do it with my eyes closed, one thing, I couldn't get into the inner and outer part, and another thing is when I close my eyes, my lid becomes very wrinkly, so it means my line will be all rigid and not even. So now that I'm close to the inner part, I keep stamping. So literally just place, stamp, place, stamp. If you feel that your eyeshadow isn't pigmented enough, take some more or just wiggle a little bit, but make sure that your brush is literally sitting. You see the way my lashes here? So it sits on the lashes and a little bit on that lid. So literally lashes are holding my brush in place. Just by doing stamping motion along the lash line, I can create a liner. If you have a very hooded eye and you still want that definition on the eye, another great technique is to line just the inner part and outer part of your eye. So this is what I mean. So you just want to line the inner part of your eye here, just to your tear duct area. And then you want to line your outer part of your eye on the very outer part. So this creates an illusion of the liner, but except you skipping the middle part. So as you can see, it seems that I have a very thin eyeliner on, even though I only have the color in the inner part and on the outer part of my eye. So that's it with the eyeshadow. I will go back to the wings and all later on. Now I want to show you how to use an eye pencil to create an eyeliner. So for eye pencil, as I said, make sure to choose a very soft pencil so it's easy to draw on. And what you want to do, you want to apply this pencil so close along the lash line, not even paying much attention if it's neat or not, because we're going to go back with our angle brush and we're going to smudge that pencil out. By using your brush, you can just literally smudge the pencil into the proper shape or the shape you want that liner to be. So you can make it thicker on the outer part, thinner on the inner part. So it's so easy to work with eye pencil. You don't need much effort, and because you are smudging the line out, it means that it can be that little bit messy. It doesn't have to be a precise line, a very sharp line, but you just want to make it a little bit more smoky and soft. So just like that, by using a pencil and an angled brush, you can create a liner as well. Now if you feel that your pencil eyeliner isn't great, you can also use a smaller blending brush and just smudge that liner out. So this is great if you have, again, a hooded eye, or if you don't want this sharp liners but you just want to get that definition into the lash line. It's great as well, because by smudging the pencil out, it means you don't have to worry about your pencil being super precise, super sharp and error free. So this gives a much softer look as well. It's amazing for daytime. It gives that definition, as you can see, for the lash line, but it's nothing too structured, so you can blend it out all the way into the lid, or you can just blend it out a little bit to still keep that color close to the lash line. Okay, so I have removed the other two liners so I could show you another two, how to do a pen liner. So these pen liners always have a very fine tip and they are quite easy to use once you have the hang of it. What I would advise before using it, if you're new to it, you could do the technique we did with the eyeshadow, just stamp the eyeshadow liner on top and then just trace back with this pen liner. Now with the pen liner, you want to work with it so close to your lash line. You want to work not directly with the tip but with the side. So you're literally just laying that on the side and dragging it down. Okay, again, have your pinky on the side of your cheek, have your elbow resting on the table. I always love to start from the center, so I'm placing that nearly on my lashes. This pencil is barely touching my skin, it's nearly on my lashes. And again, make sure you're looking down into the mirror, because especially with the pen liners or liquid liners, it's so hard to get an even and sharp line, because if there's any skin texture, it kind of turns out rigid. Also, if you have that bit of a more wrinkly eyelid, you can slightly pull your lid from the side. Don't do it like that because it's too much. It distorts the shape of your eye. Just kind of slightly put pressure on this side of your eye and then try to apply your pen liner. So as I said, you're laying it down on your lashes and just kind of dragging it down bit by bit. You can also do it in little sections. It's not necessarily to do it in one go. And come back to the center part and just lay it down and do a little strokes, and it kind of applies then your eyeliner. Obviously you can adjust the thickness to your liking. I always like to keep my liner thinner in a corner, and then from where my pupil is here, just make it a bit thicker so I can add a little layer. Also, if you have that eyeshadow underneath, as I said before, it will be pretty easy, so you can trace back and it would be your foolproof application. So just by playing with it, you have this nice thick or thin liner of your choice. Okay, so next stop is the liquid liner. These are, as I said, the hardest for me personally, not because of the shape or the brush, but because it's the hardest one to fix the mistake if you make one, and it also because of its formula, it's a bit more liquidy and it can get a bit more messy. So again, with this guy, if you have an eyeshadow as your sketch, that would be a big help for you. But if you want to go straight in with that, we're gonna do the same thing we did with the pen liner. We're going to place that on the very roots of our lashes from the center and tip facing inwards, and we're going to drag that line out. Now with this, it's kind of hard to talk and do, so I'm gonna just try and explain while doing it, but sorry if I'll make a mistake. Just placing that and dragging that outwards. If you can place your elbow on the table for stabilization, it would help, and your pinky on your cheek, that's also a good idea. The same principle as with the pen, you can do it in the little strokes to create that line, or you can go in one go. It's just depending on how advanced you are. And also, same as with the pen, I love to keep this liner thinner in the inner part and a bit thicker on the outer part. So when I'm nearly at the end of my eye, I will put pressure a little bit of my lid here so it's nice and stretched out, and then I'm using a tip then to just finish it off. So in the inner part again, just look down and try to make as thin of the line as you can, and just like that you have your liquid liner. If you made a mistake, if you feel that your liner came out uneven, thickness is not right, and you don't have time playing with it anymore, here is what you can do. So just take your angle brush, if you have one, and black eyeshadow. Just literally take some black eyeshadow and stamp on the areas that you placed your liner. So this way it will soften the edges of that liner and make it look more even. Also, it will set it in place. It means it's going to last you longer. You want to place it at the very root of your lashes and stamp that on. And can you see how instantly it fixes and makes my liquid eyeliner look much smoother and much more even? So this is a great tip if you made a mistake. Also, if you can see that your eyeliner is uneven, it's a great way to quickly and easily fix it just by stamping a black eyeshadow on top and make it look more even. And it's also, as I said, it will set it in place. So the last type of eyeliner is the gel eyeliner, and it's actually the same principle for the gel eyeliner. I love to use the angle brush, or I love to use this kind of brush as well because it's very easy to go in and do a line. As I said, using an angle brush, you want to take some product out, and I love to use my hand to warm up the product and work it into my brush. So literally you want to make sure that your brush is coated from the sides and from the tip, so it's literally coated with this gel all over. So once you have it nicely thin and coated from each angle, we're going to do exactly the same thing we did with an eyeshadow. So we're going to stamp that on. So literally by stamping it close to the lash line, you're just creating a gel liner. And because it's a gel, it's not liquid, it's just so much easier to work with it. Same principles apply if you can put your elbow on a table and you have your pinky on the side of your cheek for stabilization. And also don't try to do it in one go. If you're new to this, you can just do a little stamping along the lash line until you are happy with how it looks. And by stamping as well, you can thicken that liner up and it actually comes out quite nice and neat. When I'm close to the outer part, I switch the tip so it's facing my ear, and I'm just continuing to stamp that on. Also make sure you always have some product onto the brush. Don't be afraid to dip in into that gel liner liner to take some more product. Because it's gel, it actually dries quite quickly. If you don't have enough product on that angled brush, it will be so difficult for you to work with. So make sure it always has some product onto the brush, and that way it will be so much easier for you to create that line. Also, as last time, I'm just coming into the inner corner and make it very thin, and then on the outer part I love to make it thicker, but that's just for my eye shape. If you have a smaller eye, by all means just adjust the thickness to your liking and to your eye shape. Again, I'm just putting some pressure here to make my eyelid space a little bit more stretched out, but not too much, and I keep stamping. So literally you can keep stamp and then create that line, and once you practiced enough, you can actually go in and do it in one go. So literally just trace that line along, and it will create a nice even line. If you find it difficult to do it this way, just do a first step that I showed you. You can apply a eyeshadow first by stamping that on, or eye pencil, and just trace that pencil or eyeshadow using a gel, so it means you know what form you're going for or how thick or how thin you want that liner to be. I always keep looking down. I feel for me it's the easiest way to see where my liner has to go and how thick I want it. Same idea like with the liquid liner. If you made a mistake, you can use a black eyeshadow to stamp that over to fix any uneven edges if you have some, and that's no problem at all. Also, gel liners are so easy to fix. You can use a little Q-tip and a little bit of moisturizer and just fix any mistake you made. So if I were to decide that this line is a bit too thick for me, I could take a little bit of that moisturizer and Q-tip and just thin it down. As you can see, it works really easily and kind of removes that line a little bit. Obviously, you have to reapply your concealer or your eyeshadow base if you do so, but don't be afraid if you made a mistake. It's quite easy to fix it when you use a gel eyeliner. Another important thing for gel liners, always make sure you put the lid back on, because these guys dry so quick. So you need to make sure you put the lid back on, because the air that comes into the container will dry out your product, and it will make extremely hard for you to use it and do liners. Also, same thing applies to your brush. Once you finished using your brush, make sure to use a baby wipe or some sort of brush cleanser to get rid of that excess product on your brush, because otherwise it will harden and you won't be able to use the same brush next day, which when you clean it, you can still get away by using it even later on if you need to fix something. But yeah, it's very important to remember to clean that brush and don't leave it with the product on it. So now that we covered all types of eyeliners, I just want to show you how to do a wing. If you're someone who doesn't like wings, it's totally fine. You just do you, and if it doesn't suit your eye shape or you're not into wings, it's completely fine to just apply some mascara and you're good to go, because you have that definition on the top line by just using a line without a wing. But if you are someone who likes wings, here is a few tips on how to do a wing. So I like to think of my wing as the extension of my lower lash line. So literally here is my lower lash line, and I want to imagine that this lash line here kind of just continues and never stops. So literally just goes up like so. And here is what I'm using. I'm also using an angled brush, but this time I'm using a concealer. You can use any concealer you have, but the thicker concealer would work better. So this is your sketch guide, and when you do a line like that, you know where your wing liner has to go, and you can do so on both sides and double check that it's even and it kind of goes in the same direction, and then just trace that back with whichever liner you're using. And when you're doing your wing, make sure you look straight into the mirror so you have a very good view on how it's going to look when your eyes are opened. Don't close your eyes, make sure your eyes are opened. So this is very important, because imagine if I would close my eyes like that, I can't really see where that wing has to go because the eye shape is distorted. So when you open your eyes, you have a better view of where that wing has to go. So as you can see, first tip, you can use an angled brush and you can use a little bit of concealer to just make sure that your wings are nice and even and they go in the same direction. You can place your fingers here and just double check they are the same length at the same height. So once you have this little sketch going on, then you can go back to whichever type of eyeliner you wanted to use. Let's say I want to do a eyeshadow liner, so I would go with my angle brush into that black eyeshadow and I would stamp that eyeshadow on directly or a little bit above on that concealer. So literally I'm just stamping that on, and I have this guide so I know which direction my wing is going. So once I have this done, now it's actually important to connect the wing to the lid. As you can see, there's a gap here, so we want to connect it. I will go back now again to the same black eyeshadow, take some more product, and the easiest way using an angle brush to do so is to just hold a little bit on the side here so your lid is open. Also look down into the mirror, and then the brush will do the work for you. So literally just stamp that on the area that the eyeliner is missing, and as you can see, it kind of just did the job for me. Because of its shape, it just kind of stamped the proper shape onto my eyeliner. So next thing is to fill in the gap. So if you have that gap here between your lash line and the liner, just fill it in. Just like that, you have a winged eyeliner. Now at this point, if you want your wing eyeliner a little bit longer or thicker, you can go in and stamp that black eyeshadow on once again by extending it out and making the liner look thicker. So it's all up to you, but it's always better to start small little wing and work your way up rather than doing a huge long wing and trying to make the proper shape. So another way to mark your wing, if you're not sure, you can use some sort of card. You just want to imagine then this is the extension of your bottom eyelash line and just place a little stamp of color here. It's quite easy actually to use an angle brush and a little bit of eyeshadow, some pressure on. Imagine that this line here is continuing, and then from the area where the two eyelids meet, just place that brush with the tip facing up and stamp that on. As you can see, it stamps so easily. Again, same thing, as you can see, I've used an eyeshadow. Now I can trace it back using a pen. I can trace it back using a liquid eyeliner or gel eyeliner. Same principle applies. So I'm going to just take a little bit of the gel liner. I'm going to work that gel liner into my brush again, and I'm going to trace that eyeshadow back by stamping on because I know where my line has to go. And now I'm going to connect the two, holding my finger here for some pressure just to keep my eye nice and stretched, and then I'm going to place that angle brush in the area that's missing to connect the lid to the wing. And as you can see, it just does the job for me. Just make sure that your pointy bit is kind of facing your ear and just kind of press that on. If you are someone more advanced, you can obviously just go and drag and do a line like so. So now that I have this baby wing, I can always go and make it a bit longer if I want, but this time I'm holding my little tip towards my eye and I'm literally just working with the very tip of that brush, just kind of this part here. I'm not placing the whole lot, just the very tip, and dragging it down a little bit, little by little. So now I'm kind of keep checking that the wings are the same length and just keep applying until I'm happy on how both of them look. If you made a mistake, one of the wings are a bit too low or a bit too thick, don't worry, again, it's easily fixable. Just take a little bit of concealer on an angle brush, just fix it by doing a little line underneath, literally just sharpen that wing. So by doing so as well, even if you haven't made a mistake, you will make your wing looking really sharp and really precise. Just make sure to blend that concealer away so it's not that visible, but as you can see, it makes that eyeliner so sharp and so neat looking. I know some of you have a hooded eye where the skin fold literally happens on the very outer part and it's very hard to do this technique, but you can do it on the fold of your eye, and it's so hard for me to show you because I don't have that. But if you have this situation going on where the skin fold happens here, so your liner can go up because you have that excess skin here, you can still do a wing liner. It will take a little bit more practice for you, but it's doable. So for the eye like that, you will have a completely different shape to your liner, but it's still possible, you still can get it. I will try to explain it now, but if you have a fold like that onto your eye, you can just pretend when you're doing your liner that it's going up as I showed you, like so. So that's the concealer. So let's say my fold is like so, and this is bottom lash line continuing up. You can use a concealer to mark that line, okay? And then what you want to do, you want to use the same concealer and connect that wing to the lid, or your eyeliner shape will be completely different to, say, the shape that an open eyelid has. I will show you this by using eyeshadow so you would understand better. So let's say this is the fold of the eye. I don't have an open eyelid. I'm just imagining that this is the extension of my lower lash line. I'm doing a little wing, okay? So obviously I'm doing a longer wing so you can see better. And then I want to connect that wing to the lid part, okay? So I'm gonna just connect it in the triangle like so. So when I open my eyes, it would seem that this is connected to the lid. But then when you would look down, it wouldn't look nice and straight. It would have a different kind of shape. It would have like a, I'll show, I try to draw that on. So it would have something like that. It would be like going down. So your eyeliner would be like a bat wing. It's hard for me to show you because I don't have this fold on my eyes, but it would be something like that. So it would look something like that. So if I would have my fold, if I would look straight ahead, it would seem that I have the continuous line from my lid towards my wing, and if I would look down, it would become like a line going at the angle, and it wouldn't look anything like this, if that makes sense. It's, as I said, it's hard for me to show you because I don't have an hooded eye, but just try it. Just try to draw that liner on your fold. Don't be afraid to use that fold, and just make sure you're always looking straight into the mirror when you're doing your liner. Fill in your gaps on that fold of the eye. So it means when you're looking straight ahead, you have that liner, but when you're looking down, you have a kind of unusual style of liner, but it's still liner, you know. As I said at the beginning, we all have different eye shapes, and these eyeliners not necessarily always look the same on every eye shape. Once you practice a little bit, I'm sure you will get it right. And if someone ever told you you can have winged liner, and you can, you just need to find a technique that works for you. And just one more way to map out that wing is by using a eye pencil. So here you can just apply a little bit of eye pencil on a bottom lash line here on the very outer part, and then use a brush to drag that line out. And then this way you will have the same idea. You would have a little sketch of where your liner has to go. So literally, if I would just do that and drag it upwards, I would have this line. Same thing as I use the concealer or an eyeshadow, I would have a guide of where to apply my wing. So I suppose main thing is to practice. I know when I was starting my wing liner journey, I would do my wing liner every day, and I would spend so much time in the morning actually getting that perfect. But bit by bit, when you keep doing it, keep practicing it, you just find ways of what works for you and what techniques will work for you and what products work best for you. So just keep going. I know it's possible, and I hope this was helpful and explained a little bit about how to get that perfect line. Also, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.